Imagine a time in England, a period buzzing with new ideas and thrilling changes. This was the Elizabethan era, roughly from 1567 to 1614. Queen Elizabeth I was on the throne, a strong and inspiring leader. During her reign, England experienced a remarkable flowering of arts and culture. One of the most exciting developments was the birth of professional theatre. Plays became a beloved form of entertainment for everyone. They were new, they were vibrant, and they captured the nation's imagination. This wasn't just about fun. It was about exploring what it meant to be human in a rapidly changing world. The allure of these Elizabethan plays was simply undeniable. They were filled with passion, poetry, and powerful stories. Think of grand tragedies, hilarious comedies, and gripping historical tales. These dramas reflected the spirit of the age, a time of exploration, discovery, and a growing sense of national pride. The language itself was a marvel, rich and expressive, painting vivid pictures in the minds of the audience. People from all walks of life, from common folk to courtiers, flocked to the newly built playhouses. They went to be moved, to be amused, and perhaps even to be a little bit shocked by what they saw on stage. We will uncover the magic of Elizabethan theatre together. We'll look at what made these plays so special and unique. We will meet some of the brilliant writers who penned these timeless stories, like the famous William Shakespeare and the daring Christopher Marlowe. We will also step inside the playhouses themselves, especially the renowned Globe Theatre. Imagine what it was like to be part of that lively audience. The Elizabethan age was a period of immense energy and transformation in England. Queen Elizabeth's long reign brought stability after years of religious turmoil. The Protestant Reformation had reshaped society, and a strong sense of English nationalism was emerging. This was also the great age of discovery, with explorers like Sir Francis Drake sailing around the globe. This spirit of adventure, questioning, and national pride directly fueled the themes and stories found in Elizabethan plays. Dramatists were keen to explore England's past, its present concerns, and the very nature of power and human ambition. Elizabethan drama was wonderfully diverse in its subject matter. Playwrights were not afraid to tackle a wide range of human experiences. Audiences could enjoy sweeping historical plays that celebrated English kings and victories. They could be thrilled by dark tragedies exploring themes of revenge, madness, and fate. They could also laugh heartily at witty comedies filled with mistaken identities and clever wordplay. Uniquely, Elizabethan dramatists often mixed these elements. A serious play might include moments of comic relief, creating what we now call tragicomedy. The language of Elizabethan plays was one of their most distinctive features. Many plays were written in blank verse, which is unrhymed iambic pentameter. This poetic form has a natural rhythm that is close to everyday speech, yet it can also soar to great heights of eloquence. Playwrights used rich imagery, metaphors, and similes to create vivid worlds and deep emotions. Soliloquies, where a character speaks their thoughts aloud, allowed audiences direct access to their inner lives. Words were paramount, as stage sets were often quite simple and relied on the power of language. The Elizabethan era saw the remarkable rise of the professional playwright. Before this time, playwriting was not always seen as a distinct profession. However, as permanent theatres were built and acting companies formed, the demand for new plays grew rapidly. Playwrights became vital to this burgeoning industry. They often wrote for specific companies of actors, tailoring roles to suit the talents of particular performers. These writers were not isolated artists. They were part of a vibrant, competitive theatrical world. Their words were the lifeblood of the stage, and their ability to craft compelling stories drew eager crowds day after day. Among these talented wordsmiths, Christopher Marlowe stands out as a fiery and influential figure. He was known for his powerful and poetic language, often referred to as Marlowe's mighty line. His plays, such as And, were sensations. They explored grand themes of ambition, power, and the human desire to transcend limitations. Marlowe's characters were often larger than life, driven by intense passions. Tragically, his own life was as dramatic as his plays, and he died young under mysterious circumstances. Despite his short career, Marlowe's innovative use of blank verse and his bold dramatic vision had a profound impact on his contemporaries, including Shakespeare. Then, of course, there is William Shakespeare, a name synonymous with English literature. His genius is unparalleled, and his contribution to drama is immeasurable. Over his career, Shakespeare wrote around 38 plays, showcasing an astonishing range. He penned timeless tragedies like And Exploring the Depths of Human Suffering and Flaw. He crafted delightful comedies such as And, filled with wit and romance. Section 4. Stages for Spectacle, the Architecture of Elizabethan Theatres. Before the Elizabethan era, plays were often performed in less formal settings. Acting troupes might set up stages in the courtyards of inns, in the great halls of noble houses, or even on temporary platforms in public squares. However, the growing popularity of drama led to a groundbreaking development, the construction of permanent, purpose-built playhouses. The very first of these, simply called the Theatre, was built by James Burbage in Shoreditch, just outside the city walls of London in 1576. This marked a turning point. Soon other theatres followed, creating distinct theatrical districts. There were two main types: large, open-air public theatres and smaller, more exclusive indoor private theatres. The most famous of all Elizabethan playhouses is undoubtedly the Globe Theatre. It was built in 1599 on the south bank of the River Thames, in an area known as Bankside. This theatre is inextricably linked with William Shakespeare, as he was a shareholder in the company that built and operated it, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later known as the King's Men. Many of his greatest plays were first performed on the Globe stage. The Globe was a large, polygonal, open-air structure, often described by Shakespeare himself as this wooden O. It could hold a substantial audience, possibly up to 3,000 people, all eager for an afternoon of entertainment. The design of the Globe, typical of public theatres of the time, was quite ingenious. At its centre was an unroofed yard where the groundlings stood to watch the play for a penny. Surrounding the yard were 3 tiers of covered galleries. Here, wealthier patrons could sit on benches, paying more for a better view and protection from the weather. The large raised stage, known as an apron or thrust stage, projected out into the yard, creating an intimate relationship between actors and audience. Section 5. Women on stage, in spirit, female characters and boy actors. One of the most striking differences between Elizabethan theatre and our own is the role of women on stage. In Elizabethan England, it was considered improper for women to perform publicly as actresses. Social norms of the time dictated that a woman's place was in the home, and appearing on a public stage was seen as immodest or even disreputable. This was a widely accepted societal view, and as a result, all female roles in the plays of Shakespeare, Marlowe, and their contemporaries were performed by men and boys. This convention shaped playwriting, performance styles, and audience expectations in fascinating ways. To fill these female roles, acting companies relied on young men or adolescent boys whose voices had not yet broken. These boy actors underwent rigorous training to master the art of portraying women. They learned to mimic female gestures, speech patterns, and movements. Some became highly skilled and were celebrated for their convincing performances. Despite the absence of female actors, Elizabethan drama is filled with an extraordinary array of memorable and complex female characters. Playwrights like Shakespeare did not shy away from creating women who were intelligent, resourceful, passionate, and powerful. Section 6. Echoes through centuries, the enduring legacy of Elizabethan theatre. The golden age of Elizabethan theatre, vibrant and innovative, eventually came to an end. Growing Puritan influence led to opposition, seeing theatres as places of idleness and moral corruption. In 1642, Parliament ordered the closure of all London theatres. This marked a significant interruption in England's theatrical tradition. However, the plays were preserved in printed editions, ensuring the words of Shakespeare, Marlowe, and others survived for future generations. Elizabethan drama's influence on literature and theatre has been profound. When theatres reopened in 1660, new styles emerged, but Elizabethan playwrights remained a benchmark. Their themes have been endlessly reinterpreted and adapted worldwide. Shakespeare's plays are constantly performed, studied, and reimagined, proving their universal appeal. Beyond drama, Elizabethan theatre left a mark on the English language. Playwrights enriched English vocabulary and expression immensely, Shakespeare alone coined or popularized hundreds of words and phrases. Expressions like break the ice and wild goose chase have roots in his plays. This linguistic legacy shows the deep cultural impact of Elizabethan drama. Elizabethan theatre still grips our imaginations today. These plays speak to fundamental aspects of the human condition. They explore timeless questions about morality, power, justice, love, and loss. The characters are flawed, complex, and deeply human, reflecting our struggles and triumphs.
Hey there! If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to stay updated with all my latest content, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update.